Uvalde Radio.
Texas Best Country.
It's UvaldeRadio.net. It's Robert Miguel checking in, bringing you the best in new country. And I've got a fantastic artist who's technically not from Texas, but from what I understand, putting his music out to the Texas market. Zach Neal. Hey.
What's up?
How you doing, sir?
Doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm good. Now, so from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, are you not Canadian?
I am Canadian. Yes, sir. I sure am. And I've lived in the States a long time.
Right.
Yeah, I've actually I was born in Canada, but I have got family in Houston. I got family in the Austin area, just outside of Austin, and so I actually spent quite a bit of time growing up as a kid, actually down in Texas.
So now, where are you based out of currently?
So I'm based out of Nashville.
Okay. Good.
I don't play much in Nashville, and to be honest, you know, I'm not. My music fits a lot more with the Texas kind of thing than what's coming out of Nashville right now. And yeah, so I was just in Texas a few weeks ago, and once all this dies down and gets back to normal, hopefully I'll get to come back soon.
Well, again, we're talking to Zach Neal, and again, you put out your latest single, releasing it to, specifically the Texas country market, which I always love to hear, man. What I love, the only thing I really love more than Texas country artists that are from Texas is people that decide to be Texas country artists from other places. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, it speaks volumes about what you want, where your heart is, and what you consider good music, I think. Obviously, being born and bred Texan, I lucked into it. But you guys make it by choice, and we do appreciate you. Now, I got to bring up Canada again, because one of my favorite country artists, old Shania, is from Canada.
She did okay.
Yeah, she did all right. So what's your influence going back to your Canadian days and music in general? How did you become a country artist, and what was the influence there? As early as Canada, and then obviously when you moved around and visited Texas too.
So as a kid, my parents had I remember two vinyl records that they had.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my dad, and one was Ray Price, and the other one was Merle Haggard. So that was kind of the introduction for me.
Yeah.
That's about as country as you're going to get right there.
Yep.
So, and so that was kind of my first first couple of artists I remember sort of hearing. And then, of course, growing up in the 90s, I was a big Mark Chestnut fan, and all those great 90s guys, Alan Jackson, and so, and of course, George Strait. And so that's really how I really got into music, and those were my early influences. And because I'd hear those guys talking about the George Joneses, and then especially a guy like George Strait, and like Johnny Bush,
Yeah.
I mean, all that honky-tonk country type stuff. And I love that. And Randy Travis, I'm such a huge Randy Travis fan. And so that's really my big influences. I love country music. And of course, fiddle music's really popular where I grew up. And so that's something I guess probably that's very similar to Texas, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of fiddle in Texas, a lot of great fiddle players, and a lot of great fiddle players where I'm from, and so that's just a part of who I am musically,
Well, tell me this: when did you decide to pick up a guitar and decide to sing it, professionally, or give it a big go?
Yeah, so I got my first guitar. I was 12. I had taken piano lessons for a few years before that, but I got my first guitar at 12. And so we started a band in high school and did a Battle of the Bands competition that we won. One of the guest judges there was actually a sound engineer at a big studio on the West Coast. They did a bunch of big rock records for some huge rock bands at the time. And he was a guest judge, and he just pulled me aside after we got done and said, "Hey," he says, "you want to do this as a career?" I was 16 at the time. And I said, no, I was going to farm. I grew up on a farm. Right. I was going to go get my ag business degree and do the family farm thing. And he said, man, I think, you're all right. He says, I want to, introduce you to a couple people if you'd be interested. And at 16, of course, I said, yeah, I'd love to. And next thing I know, 2 years later, I was in Nashville.
Tell me this. Tell me this, at the age of 16, you're a high school kid, what exactly did he respond to? Somebody, it's pretty, you're talking to a music professional. What was it your look? Was it your sound? Was it your voice? Was there something that he said, hey man, this is what you got, to offer?
He had two things. He says, one, he says your voice, and he said two, he said stage presence. He said you seem real comfortable on a stage,
Nice.
And like I said, at 16, you just kind of say, "Oh yeah, sure," you know. And so I said, "Yeah." And next thing I know, in a short amount of time, everything. Like I said, I was going to farm. So what I thought I was going to do with my life was no longer. It was a kind of a 180.
Well, very cool. So as far as getting together with other musicians, what was that journey like? Do you have a band that you work with currently? Are you more of a kind of a hired guns kind of guy when you're recording, whenever you're making these records? What's your plan of attack on that?
Yeah, so when we do the recordings, it's a lot of studio players. Mm-hmm. They're just it's a faster process. It's a little easier financially to get those guys, and because they were able to knock stuff out so quick. But when I tour, I've got my band, and we tour all over. I really don't play in Nashville. We were all over the place last year. We did over 200 shows last year.
Wow!
And well, we were on track to do that more than that this year, but with everything going on, that of course is that's obviously slowing everything down.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, but yeah, once things get back to normal, we'll be back on the road hitting it hard.
Now, I'm sure you've done a few, tours and probably opened up for some big names and done some festivals. Give me some highlights, man, as far as the live shows.
Man, I'll tell you, what's funny is as far as people that I've gotten to open for, I've gotten to open for, a lot of big artists. But one of the coolest things I think I got to do, it was actually my band in high school. I know that sounds funny, but we got to open for Kenny Rogers. And
no way.
Yes, we did. We got to open for Kenny Rogers. And so we were 15 or 16 at the time. For a bunch of teenagers, that was just cool. But what was the real special thing was that Kenny Rogers was my grandfather's all-time favorite. And so he got to come see me play and got to come out to the show and see me open for Kenny Rogers. And so because he was my grandfather's favorite, that's just a special memory that I've got.
Well, obviously, man, we just lost Kenny, a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
What's that impact like on your life?
Well, man, as a kid, riding around with my grandfather in a farm truck, you'd have Coward of the County playing,
yeah.
or that was his favorite. And so, but it just took me back, because like I said, the fact that my grandfather was still alive and got to see me open for Kenny at that time, that's what makes it so special. Obviously, it's special just to be able to open for Kenny Rogers, but because of the memories I have tied to my grandfather, because of that, that's just something that can't be taken away from you. That I'll always have, and of course, I've gotten to open for a lot of great artists. Obviously, since I've been doing this full time for a career now, and just very grateful and blessed that I've had those opportunities.
Well, very good, man. I mean, what a great story about Kenny. I think that's fantastic. Good stuff. Again, Zach Neal here out of Nashville, throwing some country music at us here in Texas, and really excited. We're going to play your new single here in a moment. But let's go ahead and get into this before I forget, because my mind's slippery that way. You have got a live stream concert coming up. Now, when is this? Tonight at 8 p.m., right?
Yes, sir. Tonight on Texas 46, I believe, is radio, and on their page. I think they're in New Braunfels, I believe.
Okay, yes, that's right.
And yes, so we'll be doing a live stream with them tonight. So
Texas 46 on Facebook. Are you going to also have it on your link it over to your Facebook page as well too? Or
yes, we have been doing that. So we've been linking. We've done a couple of these, and we've been linking them through my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Zach Neal Music. So we should be linking it tonight to that page as well.
Well, right on. Again, that's going to be a Zach Neal live Texas 46 radio takeover. I'm looking at the page right now. Tonight, 8 p.m. And again, of course, you can find it at Zach Neal Music on Facebook as well. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into your new song, because we've got that in rotation. It is a cool, I'm always a sucker for a song about whiskey. Most Texas country fans are. But your new single is called When She Drinks Whiskey. And give us a rundown on this new track, man.
Yeah, so I wrote this with a buddy of mine who's from Crum, Texas, just out of Fort Worth there, and I had this idea all the years of playing bars and dance halls, honky tonks, that kind of thing. It just hit me on stage one night. I was like, man, when people are having fun, they're out there partying, having a good time, drinking beer, drinking tequila, and whiskey drinkers too. Mm-hmm. But I was like, man, when people are down and out, whiskey seems to be what they're drinking. People don't drink tequila when they're depressed. It doesn't seem like.
Right.
So really, that's kind of where the song came from, and I just got thinking. You see a lot of lonely people out there when you're playing, and I just kind of started out with that chorus idea, a couple lines on the chorus, and my buddy from Crum, Texas, we had a write one morning in Nashville, and I said, "Hey man, what do you think about this?" And he loved it, and then maybe an hour and a half or so, we had it done. So.
Well, I think it's a great song, and again, it doesn't sound like your average Nashville fare, so that's why I appreciate what you're doing, more of a traditional Texas country kind of thing. And I got to say this, because you're from Canada, and you're doing a song about whiskey. What's your brand, man? What's your whiskey brand? There's no wrong answer. I'm not expecting any answer, because my answer is atypical too. But what's your brand? What's your go-to?
Well, I tell you, my go-to is Crown.
Right.
That's my go-to, Well,
I was lying. There was a right answer, and that's the right answer. It's Canadian whiskey, man, and I dig it. That's what I grew up with. Hey, man, don't get me wrong. I love my Jack, too, and my Rebecca Creek, but...
yes.
But there's something special about Crown, man. So good. But,
it's...
Yeah, so what else, man? I mean, when you're down in Texas, what kind of foods do you eat? I mean, obviously we got great Tex-Mex. You being born in Canada, spent some time in Nashville. What do you love most about Texas?
Man, I tell you, there's a couple things. The food's phenomenal. Of course, if you're going to get brisket, Texas is where you got to go to get brisket. That's just the way it is. And but of course, love the Tex-Mex stuff. But one of the things that I really love, just from being a musician and going out and performing, the thing that I think Texas is it's so much fun to go play there. Nothing against anywhere else, but live music is such a part of what Texas culture is. It's like, man, and live music is so it's such a big part of what y'all do, and it's fun because whenever you go play in Texas, it seems like people are there wanting to hear new music. They're wanting to hear guys like me that they maybe don't know of, that maybe haven't heard of before, and you don't necessarily feel like you're just background noise so much.
Right.
Sometimes, and so that's one of the things I love about being down there. And then honestly, like I said, I still got family, Houston, Austin area, and just the people. People are just great people,
Well, right on, man. It's really been cool getting to know you, sir. Again, Zach Neil, he's got a live stream concert tonight, 8 p.m. That's here Central Standard Time. Texas 46 Radio Takeover. So find Texas 46 Radio on Facebook, or just go to Zach Neil Music on Facebook. And let's go and get that new song out, man. Again, this is the latest single by Zach Neil. It's called When She Drinks Whiskey. Thank you so much for checking us out here at Uvalde Radio, man.
Hey, thanks, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Life of the party most every night. When she drinks tequila, everything's fine. She'll be out there dancing, throwing them back. But if you catch her in the corner, sipping on Jack, you know her heart is hurting real bad. When she drinks whiskey, you know she's lonely. She's tired of wasting good love like hers on the liars and leavers and the no good heart stealers. Why can't they see how much she's worth? Burns when it goes down, she don't like her taste, but she hates hurting and it numbs the pain. So leave her alone and give her some space. When she drinks whiskey, you know she's lonely. She's tired of wasting good love like